I want to show you something that I find fascinating about modern orthodontics, and it's our ability to simulate treatments before we even begin to help us with certain decisions, among them, whether we need to take teeth out or not. So, on the left is the way a patient presented into our office. And what you see is crowding on the upper and lower, particularly this lower left lateral, with no room to fit into the arch, as well as here. Now, there's also, I'm not showing you full records, but there's some protrusion of the teeth. The teeth are flaring forward a little bit. So this could definitely be a candidate for a 4 bicuspid extraction case. But when I planned this out from the start, I said, let me see what would happen if I expand the arch. And here you see arch expansion that is creating room for alignment, and importantly, also for retraction of the upper anterior teeth. Expansion leads to a flattening of the arch. It's just basic geometry. As you widen an arch, you flatten the front. And on the lower, even though this tooth looks so crowded, you notice that as we bring it forward, we have nice alignment. And as an orthodontist, you need to make the decision as to whether these movements are feasible. And also, you have to look at the final angulations of the teeth and say, how does this look? So this was my original plan. So what we did was we actually used braces at first, even though we ended up using Invisalign. And I'm going to show you where things looked at the end of about maybe 15 months of braces. You see it on the left. There was a gap between the front teeth. You can see that the upper arch is definitely wider, and the occlusion is reasonable, not super tight in this area. Notice, and because this is still a persistent issue in this case, this tooth started out so palatal that when it comes forward, it kind of tips forward, and this is called poor root torque. You need buccal root torque here to try to improve the look of that. And the lower arch was, at the point I took the braces off, needed a little bit of work. Everything was in reasonable position. And the way a lot of orthodontists are thinking now, and I'm among them, is that when you get to a certain point in a case, it really becomes easy for Invisalign to take it home. Braces are good at some of the heavy lifting. So is Invisalign, by the way. But when you get to the point where you have to make these little adjustments, braces are just not as efficient as you would think. But when you use computers to dial in those movements, then you end up with what I have over here. This is where the patient is as of Monday. Now, I still could use a little bit more buccal root torque that I have to plan in here. The question is whether we're going to be able to realize that. Let me show you how I would like this to look. I'm going to make an adjustment now where I make the root come forward. A little bit more. Bear with me. That red means that it is a tougher movement for Invisalign, but here you see what would be improvement if you can look beyond the red at the root. Now, this is a tough movement, and even if we end up something like this, even if we finish the case now, this is an incredible result, in my opinion, because if you look at the angulation of the teeth, we reduced the flaring of the teeth and aligned things without extraction. And guess what? We did very little interproximal reduction. The dad and the dentist both were a little bit skittish about it, so I honored their request. So basically, here's where we are right now, and here's where we started, and the lower looks good, looks great. We did recently take a cephalometric x-ray, and I can post that, but you don't need that to see we reduced the flaring. So this is modern orthodontics that saved this patient the extraction of 4 premolars by planning it out from the start. And had I removed the 4 premolars, in my opinion, the case would have been finished faster. but the smile would have been more inward. And right now, the smile looks balanced and full. Turns out the patient actually is a performer. She's in high school, but she does some acting and singing, and her smile looks fantastic.